Alright, good evening ladies. Welcome back to Compound Interesting. In today's video, we're going to talk about Season 2 of the Blur airdrop, how you can potentially make thousands or tens of thousands of dollars over the coming months. And yeah, if you haven't been living under a rock, if you're at all on Twitter or anywhere in the NFT space, you would have seen how massive the first airdrop, the Season 1 airdrop was for Blur. So we're hoping for something similar in Season 2, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you can take advantage of the Season 2 airdrop. Okay, so I told you about the Blur airdrop months and months ago, how you could take advantage of it. And in my last video, I also laid out exactly how I was going to either buy, sell, or hold my Blur airdrop, depending on the market cap that Blur opened at. And if you stuck to what I said in that last video, I said if it's in the range of $200 million, I'd probably hold it for a few days and dollar cost average out. And yeah, that would be a perfect strategy because it actually rose over the last couple of days from 66 cents and peaked out at over $1. So that would have been a good strategy. I'm just sharing that with you today because if you're new, I would appreciate if you subscribe because I do drop all that alpha, all that great information. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video in regards to how you can take advantage of the next airdrop, because that last airdrop, people were getting tens of thousands of dollars, up to millions of dollars from the Blur airdrop, like massive farmers. Like some people were getting tens of thousands of dollars by only trading with a few Ethereum. So like trading with a couple of $1,000 or like $5,000 and turning, not even spending it, like still having the $5,000 at the end, but managing to bid, list, sell, trade, and get a Blur airdrop in the tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, well worth the time. All right, so before we move into exactly how you can take advantage of the Season 2 airdrop, we should mention that it's not going to be as easy as the Season 1 airdrop. There is already more competition on bids. There's already more competition on lists, much more activity all around the Blur platform. So there's the same pie going to be distributed at Season 2, but there's more people involved and more total activity on the Blur marketplace. But even still, if you want to make hundreds, thousands, or potentially even tens of thousands of dollars by clicking a few buttons every day or just clicking a few buttons once, then watch on. Also, we should mention that we don't know exactly when the next Season 2 Blur airdrop is going to be. I wouldn't expect it to be next month. I wouldn't expect it to be next 2 months. Like minimum 3 months, but maybe even potentially a year. Like they want people to be loyal on their platform for as long as possible, and Blur played this extremely cleverly, really smart. If they said, okay, that's the total airdrop, that's it, everyone would probably just go back to OpenSea or go back to Luxor or X2, Y2. But now they're like trying to get people used to using Blur. So now they're like, okay, you saw how good the first airdrop was, now we're going to do another one, and you just got to use our platform. And the more people use their platform, the more use they get to the platform, the more benefits they see from using their platform, like the nice features and stuff on Blur. They get used to the UI. I don't personally think the UI is amazing, but some people really like it, and there are a lot of features that are pretty nice on Blur that we'll discuss. All right, that's enough of an intro. Let's get into exactly how to position yourself to get the most out of the second airdrop. All right, so obviously Blur are not going to share exactly how their point system works, but we want to gather as many points as possible. And if they shared exactly how you can gain points, then people would just farm it, and people would be less likely to use the platform organically. It would mostly just be wash trading and stuff like that. So they haven't shared exactly how it works, but we can absolutely take a best guess of what are the best steps to accrue as many points as possible with the lowest risk possible. So I think it goes without saying that if you're going to buy, sell, or list an NFT, you might as well do it on Blur for the next 6 months until the next airdrop comes, and try and avoid using OpenSea or X2, Y2 or any other platform as much as you can. Because if you're doing any sort of organic trading or organic investing or organic selling in NFTs, you should absolutely 100% do it on Blur. There's no reason not to. But here are some tips if you want to supercharge your airdrop, if you want to actually try and farm a little bit and try and, boost it up a bit. So the first thing is Blur has released a statement saying that they're going to be doing double points up until the end of March. But at the same time, there's a huge amount of activity on Blur right now, people doing lots of bids and stuff like that. But we might as well take advantage of those double points and follow these steps as much as possible up until the end of March. However, once things get quiet, we need to keep doing all of these steps throughout the whole Season 2 until the airdrop actually comes. So the first thing I would do is I would add money into my Blur pool. So you can see what the Blur pool is here. Here's a little screenshot. So you can see what the Ethereum is in your actual MetaMask wallet. And you can transfer it into the Blur pool. And this allows you to put bids for free on dozens, or as many collections as you want. And we're going to take absolute advantage of the Blur pool. So that's the first thing I would do. And then I would start putting bids on as many collections as I possibly can. And we have to be very strategic on the bids that we place. So I'm going to talk about bids, then I'm going to talk about listing, and then I'm going to talk about trading. Okay, so the first thing I might consider doing is just putting stink bids on any collection that you wouldn't mind buying. So say the floor for an other deed right now is 2 ETH. Put stink bids for 1.2. I'd be happy to buy an other deed right now for 1.2, even if the floor dropped down to that price. And we could do that for dozens and dozens of collections. However, we do know that you get more points if you list closer to the floor of a collection. So the best strategy to try and get as many points as possible is to have your listings as close to the floor without getting your bids accepted. I know everyone's trying to do this, but this is what you're going to probably have to do if you want to actually get good points from bidding. So here's a good strategy. If you see a big wall of bids at a certain price, just bid just below that price. And if you just bid for 1 day, it's unlikely that that bid will get filled, and you will just get the points without even buying anything, without spending any money. You'll just get accrued points for free. The strategy of only listing for 1 day or listing for 2 days is if the floor price starts coming down, you can actually bring down your bid. You can bring down your bid every single day, but obviously that takes a little bit more time. Maybe you could set up a bot to do that for you. Obviously, it should go without saying, you should put bids on anything that you want to buy. Put real bids close to the floor on anything you want to buy. And don't put, some people are actually putting bids above the floor. That's not going to get you any more points. The best place to put a bid to get the most points, if you actually want to buy that NFT, is just at the floor, because of the algorithm of how the points work. What people can assume, the closer you are to the floor price, the better. So that's probably, I know it takes a bit more work, but if you want the most rewards with the least risk, it's just to bid for 1 single day and then change your bid every day as close to the floor price as you can without it getting accepted. Yeah, as I mentioned, some people are actually bidding above the floor to try and get more points, but that's not going to get you more points. And the reason they're bidding above the floor is because they know the sellers, if they accept that bid, they'll have to pay the gas. The seller will have to pay the gas if they accept a bid. So it's actually better for the seller to sell it at a floor price and someone else pay the gas. The other thing I should mention is that if you actually want to buy an NFT and you're using bids to do it, which I recommend bidding on Blur. If you're also bidding on other marketplaces, make sure your bid on OpenSea or your bid on LuxRare or X2Y2, make sure your bid on those platforms is lower than your bid on Blur, and then you will get more loyalty points probably. That's just an assumption that I'm making, or a best guess, but it would make sense because Blur want to have the best prices for sellers and buyers. Alright, so now let's get into the real alpha, listing NFTs on Blur. If you're going to list an NFT, make sure it's listed on Blur cheaper than it's listed anywhere else. So say, for example, I have this Creeps. I listed it on Blur for 2.5 ETH and it's listed on OpenSea at 3 Ethereum. Again, the closer to the floor that you list it, the more points you're going to get. But I also am speculating that if you have like a rare trait, or if you have a trait that's not like a floor trait, if you list it at the floor price for that trait, you're also going to get some rewards. So for example, this Creeps is blue, and the blue ones are like mid-tier, not like, they're slightly more rare. The greens and the blue ones are the least rare, and then the blue is just slightly more rare than those. So the floor on Creeps for the blue ones on Blur is 2.5, so I listed it at 2.49, and it's unlikely that it will sell at those prices. But if it does sell at that price, I'd be happy, because the floor is like 1.6 or something. So I'd be happy to sell it at that price, but I'm still accruing rewards, because you can see easily, it's really easy to list at the top trait on Blur. You can just see the top trait button, and it'll tell you what the top trait floor is for your NFT. So that's a nice way to collect points without having to list your slightly more rare NFTs at the floor. Now, obviously, if you're listing an NFT that you don't want to sell, that you don't actually want to sell, just make sure, just be safe. List it 20% above floor, 15% above floor. But if you don't mind selling it at these prices, list it closer to floor. Same strategy again, just list it for one day, come back the next day, list it again at whatever the floor price is. So for example, I come in, I list my creep at 10% above floor for one day. Next day the floor has changed and I listed again at 10% above floor, whatever the new floor is. But also consider just listing all my NFTs at a price that I would be willing to take, or way above a price that it's going to sell for. You might as well, because you're going to accrue points for listing all your NFTs. You don't even have to list them on other marketplaces, but list them at prices that they wouldn't be bought, or at prices that you would be happy to accept, because you might as well accrue as many points as you can by listing all your NFTs across all your wallets. Again, there's no fees on Blur, so if you want to actively trade NFTs, there is a 3-hour timeout. Like if you buy an NFT, you can't list it on Blur for 3 hours, you have to hold it. So it's just to try and avoid wash trading, but do actively trade on Blur if you want, because there's no gas fees if you're using their bidding pool, but also there's no marketplace fees. You can set the marketplace fees to 0 on Blur. So if you want to do a bit of active trading, go for it. And if you are considering wash trading, like just buying and selling the same NFT from the same collection back and forth with yourself, I think, like, unless you're really advanced, smart person who's wash trading it through many different wallets and being really advanced with it, like Blur is probably going to be able to pick up on it and realize that it's a wash trade and won't get you any points. Maybe they'll even take away points for wash traders, I'm not sure. But if you are like able to work out a wash trading strategy that Blur isn't going to be able to work out, do it. Why not? Another strategy that might accrue some more extra points for your activity on Blur is there's an option to pay royalties. I would say if you are going to buy an NFT, like maybe 1 and 2 of them, actually take the option and do pay the royalties, because I have a feeling that people who pay royalties might accrue extra points. And it's always good to the original creator of the NFT collection to get some royalties. But yeah, in general, they've got their probably 5-10 million from their initial collection, so they probably don't need the money. But yeah, if they have put royalties on the collection, maybe you could consider paying those royalties, although they are optional on Blur, which is nice. Now, I would say to be very, very careful implementing all these strategies, because you don't want to be bidding on collections that you don't actually want to buy, and you don't want to be bidding just really close to floor, and then like all your bids getting accepted on lots of different collections, and then all your Ethereum is gone and the floor drops and you're left holding the bag of all these NFTs that have gone down in price a lot. Like, that's probably not worth the whatever airdrop you're going to get. So just be very careful. I know there's going to be there's like a lot of people who are fumbling the bag right now, who are putting crazy offers in on loads of collections and, you know, fat fingering things. Here's an example. This guy took a 50 ETH loss because he put a bid on Cool Cats at a price that all of them got accepted, and then the floor dropped, so he's down 50 ETH. You can see in the top right. Other person fat fingered put a bid on other deeds, 69 other deeds. He put a bid on them for 5 Ethereum, and he obviously made a mistake. He probably meant to put 1.5 or something like that, and all of them got accepted, and now he has 69 other deeds that he paid 5 Ethereum for, and they're only worth 2 now. So just be very careful, and yeah, you don't want to be left holding the bag of a load of NFTs that you don't actually want. It's not worth the points. So what's my opinion on the Blur token in the meantime? Will the Blur token go down in price, go up in price? And what will the Blur token be worth when a Season 2 airdrop finally comes? I think the most likely scenario is the Blur airdrop token. It's trading at $1 now, or 90 cents, with a market cap of 355 million and a fully diluted market cap of 2.7 billion. So that's quite a big fully diluted valuation, but the market cap of the coins out there is only 350 million. Unless it starts pumping soon, I wouldn't say. If it pumps within the next few days, it could pump it within the next few days, a little bit higher, like a 2x maximum, maybe a 3x maximum. But I think coming up to the airdrop, you'll be able to get Blur at a cheaper price. So I am layering out of my season 1 airdrop of my Blur tokens for my season 1, and maybe I'll buy them back if the Blur price goes way down to like $100 million market cap or something like that, in anticipation of the next airdrop. I think it will pump into the next airdrop before the next airdrop actually comes, as people will get excited about Blur again. People will start using the Blur platform a lot. The volume on Blur will go up a lot, and then people will be like, oh shit, this is getting a lot of volume. Blur's getting a lot of volume. It's going to become the #1 marketplace, and if it's the #1 marketplace, it's way undervalued. So the Blur token could do well, but I think right now it's going to be at a good price. It's probably dip a little bit and then start going back up again. But I will be happy with my second Blur airdrop once it comes. I'll be happy to get those tokens then. So there's no point holding on to a huge bag of Blur tokens right now for me. That's how I'm playing it anyway. Alright, I really hope you enjoyed these tips, and I hope you get a massive season 2 Blur airdrop. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.